All right. So the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International have joined together to petition President Obama to offer a pardon for Edward Snowden before he leaves office. This is not the first time that a petition has been started to try to get a pardon for Edward Snowden. Back actually the very same day that the information was leaked nationally, a petition was started on whitehouse.gov to have Edward Snowden pardoned. Now, I'm sure I'm going to assume that everyone knows who Edward Snowden is, former NSA contractor who released a trove of information showing the level to which the United States government has gone to spy not only domestically but internationally. It exposed several programs that were critical to our national security, and because of that, he had to leave the country. Not only did he expose a lot of information, but he's still retaining, I believe he's still holding some of that information to this day. In the event something happens to him, he has a set of data that he would release that would be released upon his death, exposing even more. And because of that threat, officials see that as a threat to him. He has had to seek asylum in Russia and has been there, I believe, for 3 years now. So this Friday, Oliver Stone's movie is coming out about Snowden, and according to these reports, that the movie is going to be extremely sympathetic and show Snowden in such a positive light, and the goal is to try to do more for him in 2 hours than his attorneys have been able to do for him in the last 3 years. Now, all that being said, part of that move is this push by the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International to seek President Obama, to petition President Obama to pardon Edward Snowden. Now, this falls in a very interesting category. Well, a couple of more things before I get into the nuance, into the arguments and the debate around it. So to the first response, President Obama, and I want to get the name of his counterintelligence advisor, but to the first White House petition, President Obama didn't reply to it directly, but he had his counterterrorism advisor reply to it. And she, I believe her name was Monaco, she stated that, basically made the case that if Edward Snowden believes that he was being, acting in civil disobedience, then, and because of the severity of what happened, then he should come and face a jury of his peers. And because with civil disobedience comes the punishment, right? That's a part of civil disobedience. It's like if you protest, you get arrested, unless you protest in the accepted bounds that they give you, right? Unless unless you keep yourself into the confines. So that was the first response. So the first response was, no, we're not going to pardon him, and he should come back and face a jury of his peers if he really believes in the substance of his civil disobedience. So he left the country. Now, one of the reasons that I think, there's a lot of reasons he's left, but one of the reasons is because the charges that he would face don't distinguish his release of data here in the United States for the security and the privacy of our citizenry. They don't distinguish that from a person releasing data to a foreign nation, like true espionage. And so the severity of his charges is something that can't be taken lightly and must be taken into consideration for the reason why he left. So that's the one thing. The second thing that I think is very interesting about this is that, changes have been made structurally. Conversations have begun nationally that would never have happened had Snowden not released this information. So much so that former Attorney General Eric Holder said that of Snowden that he has done a public service. I mean, the guy who ultimately is going to carry out these charges against Snowden himself has stated that Snowden did a public service. And almost in the same breath, he said, but he should still be prosecuted. And that's the tension in which this entire debate, well, not really, there's a lot more ancillary things around this debate. But, you know, should he be prosecuted? Should he face civil disobedience? But all these things, ultimately, the chances of this happening, I don't know. I think it's slim to none because of the attitude that much of the leadership has towards Snowden and the things that he revealed. So I don't know if this is going to fly, but they are going to make an effort. It starts tomorrow. They have a website up. They have Facebook pages up. They have Twitter pages up, and they're trying to get as many people to sign these petitions as possible to push as hard as they possibly can to get President Obama to pardon Snowden before he leaves office. Now, in terms of the national debate that's going on around this, I find something very fascinating. What I'm finding is people who tend, or you would expect to be on the progressive side of the argument, which really is, and I guess, you know, this really is not even a progressive or conservative thing. It's just a privacy thing, right? And so you will find not only progressives you would not only expect progressives to be on the side of Snowden on this, but you'll get a lot of libertarians in on this. And then you'd get some conservatives in on this, particularly because this represents the tyranny of the Obama administration. But it's that concept that this took place underneath the Obama administration that I find a trove of people, like an entire swath of people who want to see this man in jail because this somehow, hang on, and I'm treading delicately here before I say this last thing. Let me build up to it. Forgive me. I'm going to back up. So you have some people who view this as President Obama's tyranny. You have some conservatives, and so they're going to be like, Snowden might be a traitor, but Obama is a tyrannical tyrant. And so, maybe they'll fall on this side of the equation saying, let's get him because he's a hero and he did something. He's a patriot, right? They'll describe him as a patriot, right? Then you have those left-leaning Democrats who normally would be opposed to this type of intrusion into your privacy, all of a sudden taking up the opposition against Snowden because of the administration under which he released this information. You follow me? So had this happened or occurred, if Snowden had released this information underneath George W. Bush, he would without question be the left hero of the millennium, right? Just hands down. There would not be a single progressive, liberal, or Democrat, unless they're a part of the establishment and working on the intelligence committees. There would not be a single one, save those, that would oppose giving Edward Snowden a pardon. But it's amazing that I'm finding more and more people who oppose what Snowden did, primarily because of the administration under which he did it, the Obama administration. It's fascinating to me. Fascinating me because without a doubt, if this was underneath George W. Bush, they would be all for him. But because this was underneath Barack Obama, all of a sudden they're all against him. And it just shows you how malleable political ideologies and your belief system really is based on whose toes it steps on. The very same people who would be championing this dude as a hero are now dreaming about a drone dropping munitions on him. And it goes back to this overarching theme of this entire election. It has exposed not only this election, but this incident with Snowden. And it's not even an incident, it's his entire life now. This incident with Snowden has exposed the fact that people's beliefs only go as far as their football team, as their political football team, blue or red. You know, what color is your flag? Blue or red? Your Crip or your blood? You know, that's where their belief system, that's as far as their belief system really goes. Because for you to look at what he did, and in hindsight, even the attorney general, Obama's attorney general, can state affirmatively that what he did was a public service. For you to be able to look at that and say, oh, he's a traitor, or he needs to go to jail. Now, what's your basis then, right? I can see why Attorney General Holder would say he needs to be prosecuted, because he's the Attorney General of the United States, right? He's not going to say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. No, his job is to protect the institutions. So, of course, Holder's going to do that. But for the rest of us who are not working in this institution that was exposed by Snowden, what's your purpose for saying this man needs to go to jail? Are you all of a sudden a law and order candidate and citizen? Because there's another guy out there who's a law and order candidate, right? And your look and your gaze at this Snowden situation parallels very neatly with his look and gaze on law and order. So I just think it's fascinating where their loyalties are not to what they believe. Their loyalties are to the person that they like. And I guess that's probably all I'm going to say about that.